Made that clear, wasn't it? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call to order the regular session with a public hearing continuance to follow for the Gibson Solar Project. First, minutes from the March 9th meeting. Any additions or deletions or corrections? If not, they'll be approved as written. Everybody get a chance to see the clerk's report, treasurer's report, and the TIF report?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Judges.
I can hear more now as a judge. You can stop there.
I know.
I promise I did. You all had an email, I don't know if Bill got it or not. It's what I was afraid of. I think it's what has been warned about for a number of years now. Went down, up, and, you know, I was moving people over there. For one reason, Superior Court for years, Judge Penrod was able to fund it without using the general fund. And we slowly moved people over. This last year, we got another person slated to move. The finances because of the pandemic, and so we did that. And now here we are in the mess that we're in. So we're going to have to move a couple people over, you know, earlier. Hopefully next year. Anybody know? I mean, we'll probably have to include these people from now on. Hopefully, I'm not going to say, because I still want to ease into it, where we don't have to ask the other people to go over slowly. And, you know, there's a whole lot of reasons why I put most of the reasons on there. Some of the other reasons I didn't put on there include the bond money now that we used to use for all kinds of things. We're not losing it. We're not collecting as much anymore anyway, because we're not requiring as much from people. And those will be required from, they wouldn't get as much as we used to. That's one of the ways we capture probation money on the back end. Funded on the program. So it is what it is. I don't know what more to say than that, if that will just stand by. I don't have to move one of these individuals over fully to the general fund. Another person, we're going to try to do half and half. There's really nothing more to do. Pretty well laid out. The ladies here, really, I give them all the credit to the ones that came up with the best.
I mean, have to completely go to general fund, and we talked about it, and to save the general fund a little money, I think do half on the 2509 and half general, and I'm pretty sure we can get through the year and not completely deplete that fund. I think it's the best way to go.
So on the half, when I look at these numbers, what's the total that you need for the general?
The 39,369. That's going to be the full salary. Well, do you have the additional appropriation?
I have an email.
Oh, okay. Well, there's two salaries. The half is the like 20 something.
So there's one employee that's a total that was
Yes.
46,959.70.
Yes,
And then there's half, there's 30,100 and
Yes.
43,000.
that's the half. And then the other one is full. Okay.
So the 23,000 is what we need to add to the 46,000. And where do you?
Yeah, we're doing it. Christie's setting up a probation line or a probation department. And then we're gonna put a line in there for both of those salaries, the full and the half. And then the, FICA med insurance and, perf for both of them will go into the commissioner's budget. So we're looking at a total of like 70,571. Well, probably.
I rounded up.
Yeah. So,
You like to go to the exact penny, you want to make 70,600.
okay, we like that better. Okay. So next time we are rounding up to even numbers, we promise.
Any other questions?
Yes, we have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that one you're in. I'll make a motion to advertise $70,600. Appropriated to the specified fund. You want to label those real quick?
The probation department, county general fund probation department, and the county general fund commissioners department,
What she said.
the appropriate lines.
Okay, all in favor of advertise, or is there a second? Second, sorry. I'm writing stuff down, doing two things at once.
Say second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor of advertising that additional, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0.
Thank you. So, and maybe for everybody else.
Yeah, don't come back.
Council, just got two issues. The first one is I just want to ask to have some money that's already been allocated to me. I've got one that goes on some long-term health, what do you call it? Health issues, okay? And so some of the money that was appropriated for her salary and budget, I just want to use some of that we've got excess for, because I need extra.
Part-time.
Part-time, that's
Is
right.
that in series or?
It'll be in series, it'll be a series one. It's in the circuit court budget. We have an employee that has been off.
We just don't have any money in that.
He has no part-time money. And they need some help down there since she's been off several months. So we want to transfer that money out because she's on short-term disability. We're not using it.
But if it's in series, we need to do.
You want to see personal service,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
7,000.
And
And,
that's in there, we're gonna play them.
oh, there's more than 7,000 I haven't paid her.
I'm at.
We have a motion and a second for a transfer of $7,000 to cover part-time in the circuit court budget. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0.
All right, last issue is on courthouse security. I'll give you just a quick update. Obviously, we've already, council's already approved some funding for that. Commissioners have approved it. I talked to the architect last week. He's probably been a week or two away of having specs completed, right, Jason?
Yep.
And then once that's done, then that can be get it out for a bit. So that's where we're at on that. Now, given where we're at with that, so we're probably looking on the best, my guess is on the best time scale, if we can get somebody in, get that completed and hopefully 90 days. I know it's aggressive, that's what I'm hoping to have that done. All right, so now we come to the issue of having deputies running the system. So what I'm asking for this morning is county to hire 2 deputies specifically for running the security system in the courthouse. Wendy's got some numbers together for you. Okay.
71. That's the salaries, insurance.
Okay, so we're looking at 80,000 starting that day,
Yeah, July 1.
starting July 1.
8,000 per
No,
total,
total.
and that covers it.
For basically 5 months. And
I'm sorry.
that's just to take it to the end of the year.
To the end of the year, yes. Well, yeah,
Increase the budget.
yeah. And we checked with Stan Brown yesterday because they are saying that these will be merit deputies. So we checked with him yesterday on whether or not we have to add to the sheriff's retirement, and he said we don't have to do anything for the approved budget this year. Just set it up for next year.
Sheriff, like I said, hiring you, we'll have to consider, current deputies that would want to, transition, or you think these would be brand new ones to go, or is that even cross the bridge yet?
I don't know if any of the current deputies would want to move over there, but they have the option. And if nobody does, then the people will be assigned.
I did not figure sergeants. I did not figure captains going over there. I figured deputies,
It will be paid at,
the deputy
the
grade.
total rate,
Okay,
because I'm not taking any sergeants off the road, but
They want to go, they have to give up rank.
yes.
okay.
Yes.
I just got a couple of questions. You said, or July 1. You're saying this will be done when?
Hopefully it'll be done. I doubt it will be done, but I hope it'll be done. It's on contractor.
Jay, even that it starts July 1, we still gotta go through the hiring process. We still gotta go through the field training, everything.
That's what I'm saying. Is that going to be soon enough to get somebody trained for when it's starting?
That's the reason I asked for this a few months ago.
Are the officers upstairs merit deputies, or
We got one.
they're on perf, aren't they?
No.
They're not. They're still in the pension plan.
We just have one upstairs.
Or is that two separate things?
The bailiffs are on her.
The bailiffs are not sheriff's deputies.
Okay.
They keep their arrest powers via reserve and special deputies, but the only deputy we have is two. Now, the two bailiffs we have, two currently have arrest powers, so they fit a certain standard in our salary ordinance. If they don't have arrest powers, they follow another standard in our salary ordinance, but they do. And we have two right there.
And both of them are on her, Coomer is on the sheriff's retirement. But this, I just figured I wanted a round number, July 1st. I mean, I can add more to it, but I just figured if we, because it's gonna take you at least a month or two to get somebody hired.
Or it'll take longer than that.
So see, I thought
Mhm.
July 1st was a good date.
To start the courthouse. But I need a hiring probably before that.
Well, but
I can't
But
wait
it's
till
gonna
July
take-
1st to hire somebody and then.
right, okay, so I can add more money, but if it's gonna take 2 months to hire someone, then I
At
didn't
least.
get an additional for, I mean, I can figure if you want, but if it's gonna take 2 months to hire them, we're already in April, so I mean, that's gonna be July 1st, basically.
We can go to it.
Huh?
We can go to it.
Okay,
Currently we have two on barrel up there. Plus two more. Is there any way for the time being, maybe put that in the future? I'm not saying one or the other. Just moving her down to cover that for a while.
I will not do it. I'm responsible for security of the courthouse, and I don't want him upstairs with his gun and roaming around the courthouse right now, checking with them.
That's why we hired two armed bailiffs.
I will say this thing, I understand.
I'm not up here. That's all I'm
You
looking at.
have to deal with the budget, okay, I understand all that, so. I'll just tell you my experiences is that having a deputy up there, first of all, go back to security, having it, right? So having a deputy up there made a difference, having two armed bailiffs makes a big difference. And I appreciate that. But I would, just from my personal experience, it's been very helpful to have a deputy up there, even bailiffs. That's even not even taking into account when they're gone. You know, if they're gone, then I still have no one. And a lot of times the bailiffs are in court, right? Especially during the court, the first half of the day. And a lot of times the problems are out in the hallway. So
So I think,
And he also directs people, I mean, it's just,
let me ask
I
you
don't
this.
know how, I'm not there to see how it is. I say in my courtroom, I used him and Daryl a whole lot, okay? Now, you guys have to decide whether you have the money, and that's a discussion between you and the sheriff, how to do it.
I think this might clear it up here. Let me ask, this might help with the question. So bailiffs in courtroom,
Yes.
the two that we're asking to hire, they can't leave that post, right? They're gonna be at that door all day, because it takes two deputies. We got 3 floors though in between that there and the, so you got Tim.
What I'm looking at, Derek, is.
Tim's overall courthouse.
Cooper's gonna do what he's doing now.
Right.
We'll start the day out, with both deputies at security checking people in. Once things slow down, one of them can start moving around the hallways and maybe in the other courtroom for a while or whatever. Then the guy down here needs a break, the other guy can go back down, relieve him or whatever.
Another thing Tim does is, he does a really good job of it.
Thanks.
He's not just in there, he's outside, he has, you know, I'm trying to be.
He's there on his
There's
days
been a
off.
couple times, he approached me, that, you know, he kind of stopped that, probably should be approaching me out there.
So
So we, don't just think of it as the 3 floors.
Right.
Or that we have 2 bailiffs. That's all great. We're a lot better off than we used to, okay? There's no question about it. But in a perfect world, what I think he's asking for is great is that, well, a perfect world, we have happens. In our situation, you know, to have the 2 people man, station downstairs because of all the needs they have. But I would say that if you could up the money and afford it, that it's very valuable for us to have that other person to be able to help us upstairs, to roam around and be outside, do all those things that he does right now, okay? So again, you guys are on the side of the money and you can do it share on it, but I just thought it'd be important to hear from us that it is very helpful. It's helpful right now. Tim is helping me all the time, above and beyond what,
So is there any way though they can be classified as the bailiffs are?
what's that?
Is there any way they could be classified as the bailiffs are? You know where my brain is. I mean, we pay 37 to 40% of the sheriff's salary budget into their pension. Perf is 13.75, 14.2.
And it's actually 41%, isn't it?
It probably is this year. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a substantial difference.
Between you and the sheriff, I think about whether or not there's other alternatives, like as long as they're law enforcement officer, can they retire to per position versus that, you know, I don't know about all that. I mean, I'm not gonna say one way or the other because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just not starting to think about when you ask me that. I think it's important, and I know the sheriff thinks this, I think it's important that whoever you have there, whatever classification they are, that they have arrest powers and they have the training, right? We don't have to get somebody down there that's not trained and does something stupid. And we want somebody that also has the authority to make the decisions that need to be made occasionally. So however that comes out, whether it be your deputies, the sheriff's pension plan, or somehow you come up with some arrangement where as long as they meet that criteria, somebody retired that has those cards, I don't know about all that, but as long as they have, certainly as long as they have arrest powers and they have training.
I don't want to get into hard bunch of part-time people and people leaving and people taking time off. India, make it happen.
So you wanted me to pay your merit deputy, didn't you?
I think today's insane, the way we have a salary, so that would be the question, would be how much we're paying for the benefit.
Yeah, I don't know what the benefits or downfalls are to each, if it's disciplinary and things like that, reasons that they should be merit instead of perf. I knew that some of the guys up there carried weapons and were on perf, so just wanted to go over that.
And if some of my current deputies want to move over there, then I'll have to replace them on first.
Yeah.
What it's worth in every courthouse I've ever been in the state, it's always been county.
I agree.
Brown County.
I hear you, yeah.
What statute, I mean, sheriff's in charge of that.
Yeah, Mike's been, that's it.
How's the general fund out of your week?
We're fine. I mean, we're fine because of the COIT money going in there that really we're trying to make sure we don't spend all of that as well, right? I mean, that was when that first came in and it was in a separate fund, it was a lot easier to keep track of, but now it helps prop that up, but we're spending a fair amount of that COIT money to fund the general fund, right? To supplement. but still growing because we've got $1 million of revenue that we didn't have however long that's been, 6 years ago.
Right.
And it's gonna do more than just security. I mean,
Sure.
incorporate the temperature. If the council pays for the software, it'll also do facial recognition, see if someone's got that outstanding warrant. Reason why they have to have arrest authority right then.
If the council has the money.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, it's available, so.
I like that.
And then will Coomer or other deputies be able to cover? I mean, when they start, they're gonna have vacation,
Well, that's probably the other thing, like you said.
the extra.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The other deputies come in.
Yeah, I mean, if are there days that neither of you are in court or is it kind of rotates?
Well, it's actually gonna increase because now we have magistrate, so.
So, yeah, well, I'm trying to think ahead about that too. If there's some way we can do that part with trusted reserves because they'll have to be a third person, right?
I mean, like when somebody takes vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel? I guess that's the question, Tim. How do you feel?
Probably I face another overtime.
Is that how you feel?
One of your other deputies probably? Okay.
That's the case of having the deputies do it though, because it's not. So it's to fill in and those guys are like.
And you'll pay the same as a patrol officer, as a deputy. Will they have a problem with that? Guys that are on the road saying
They'll have the opportunity.
they'll have the opportunity to take it?
Seniority prevails, I would assume.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna see now because I've got a murder trial next month, so I won't be available. I guess happy to see me next month. Okay. I'll be stuck in there, but it's that time. I just didn't want us to get this project completed and have the system down there.
They have to advertise for a month. Yes. I think we gotta do, guys, I'm gonna make a motion to advertise for $80,000 additional appropriation for 2 additional sheriff's deputies.
I actually missed that.
Oh, goodness, I had
No,
such an eloquent
no,
statement.
That is the total. You got somebody else asking for money and that's included in that, so. That's included. Oh,
I need to amend my-
So should we hold off then until we get the,
yeah, make the motion on, or after
Okay.
someone else asks for money. And then make the motion on the total, because that's how I figured.
I'm gonna make a motion, guys. So let's see what the next person has to ask.
thank you guys.
No, I said next year.
The court speaks here.
Yes. Do we want it? So since we're fresh on our brains, here, we're kind of go ahead. Is that cool? I'm guessing, right?
We are requesting an additional appropriation of $4,500 for the part-time line in the extension office. Things are looking pretty good for us. Kids are able to start meeting and play. And it seems like they're going to kind of go on. It's important to have that person to help us do all the clerical and busy work throughout the family.
For part-time,
Yes.
that we zero down.
Yes, and in the past, we've had $6,000 appropriated to that line. We're just requesting the 4,500 to get us through. We try to always save out of some of our other lines and transfer more.
This is one of the lines that was cut at budget time because all part-time. We've gone through this with other departments as far as they're expressing the need for such, so. I think, when we did that, we knew there'd be situations like this, so I'd be willing to make a motion that we restore the 4,500 versus the 6.
I figured benefits in on that as well, so that's what that whole total is, the benefits and the security.
My math is right. 75,500 for sheriff's deputies, 4,500 for part-time, for a grand total of an advertisement of $80,000.
80,843.
You're just don't read numbers,
Hey, make it 80,900.
huh?
That will be even.
So who's getting what? You need to divide it out for the motion. Sheriff's Department is what for 2 deputies starting?
$44,708.
$708. Should be 270. separate motion, two separate departments altogether.
It's all
It's in the
three
fund.
separate departments.
Yeah,
4,500 in the extension office.
good, a little more.
Yeah.
That's good.
The rest is the commissioner. Oh, shoot, we got Andy. Dang, I forgot all about Andy. She's really gonna confuse you. Yeah.
This is just fine. Going from one to three departments.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. You guys sit down for a while.
I got a question. Before the extension, I've had 3 or 4 individuals ask about the ag extension person. The position is still open. We've been paying for going on close to, how long was the previous one?
My name's Andrew Hayes. I'm the new CED there. And I do have an update for that.
Okay.
We had a verbal agreement for a candidate who has accepted the position. I do not have a starting date yet. But I'm pleased that we've reached to that point. So very soon we'll have our full-time A&R person in place.
You know, that's always been a question that some people will ask, you know, we pay for 3 full-time positions and we send a set amount up to Purdue and we go for a period of time that position's not filled, but we've already contributed our full amount. You know, I've had individuals ask, well, they should refund us something and all that. And then the explanation in the past has been that a neighboring county or educator has been covering for those services, but it's still not quite the same. So I think the next time that happens, hopefully not anytime soon, that, you know, I think Purdue needs to work with us on that as far as not requiring the full amount until that position's filled. I don't know, that's just my opinion, and I've had that opinion from numerous other farmers.
I totally understand that position. I think from my perspective, and I can speak for me personally, I know that there has been turnover in the office, and so my intention is to be there for the long haul, and I'm hoping that we are hiring other folks that intend to serve in county for the long haul, so we can avoid that conversation altogether.
Yep. Well, the individuals that I ask on their behalf will appreciate hearing the news and your response to the funds being sent, that no benefits, having a full-time person sitting in there. So thank you very much. Yep, that's all I have.
Sure, so the last one you're gonna come up.
Never say never. Yeah, hard.
Oh, I figured. These people bombard us.
I would just like to ask for an additional $6,000 in my part-time overtime. That's what I've had in the previous years. So I'm asking for part-time. What'd you say this year?
44,708.
It's not that number. Because we're at the, she only needs 45, he needs 6. That's only 55,000.
Wait till I get the insurance and the FICA and Medicare and the PERF and all that.
Who need that? Who gets what? That's what my question.
Well, they're on there for the line there.
There we go.
Did you want a copy?
You want a copy of that?
No, here we go. This makes more sense.
Okay,
55,000 fuel rate. Plus there's the other 5 and 40.
yes.
Yeah, this makes more sense.
I don't know it.
I don't have to. Did you know?
Huh? I emailed that out.
Oh, that's not fair. I'm good with that, though. Have you guys seen those numbers?
What I'm seeing here. Same as this.
Okay, it was updated yesterday.
Okay, I don't have the updated.
That's what it was, updated
Let's pass
yesterday.
this
Send it
around
out.
so you can see where that
I
80,000.
sent it out to everybody
Sorry about
You
that.
said that yesterday.
yesterday, last night.
Kind of late when I got in last night, so I didn't. other things. There you go, Derek.
Is most of this overtime or is it a balance or? It's, okay, but it's just a part-time overtime line, but part-time.
It's all part-time. This is part-time, yours is part-time. 2 full-time deputies.
Right. Sorry about that. I thought you guys had that. So.
It's probably in my email.
So you do have it.
He's saying it was for me and he's not paying attention.
I put him on Spain.
All right, work your motion, Matt.
All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna throw my school.
All right, wizard.
It's gonna be quick. 2 sheriff's deputies. Part-time for extension office, part-time for Amy's office, plus insurance and benefits for a grand total of an additional appropriation of general fund $80,850. I'm not saying $43.
I wanted you to go to 900.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second? Dan Beard. Any discussion? All in favor of advertising this additional, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0. Thank you, everybody. Department reports? Oh, shoot, Mike, forgot about you. I see you in there. All right.
You may not be aware, our court attorney, 7 years, he went to a different position. I just think it's a position, I'm very.
Yeah, you figured it.
Mhm.
You let Tony know, we greatly appreciate his service on the home run free.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a good one. I've heard bad one. Bad luck.
Now, department reports.
I'm not here to ask for anything, I'm sure to tell you about.
Every department report should start off with that.
Tell us, there's some revenue.
Well, the end of the month report for the ambulance service, we had a total of 392 runs both month of March. It's broke down, you guys should have a paper there, it's broke down. As far as total years billed, we billed $801,080. Total year to date collected is $299,331 and 31 cents. The percentage collected was 37.36. In the month of March, the new accounts was $235,599.60, and we collected out of that $105,369.43. $12,113.25 of insurance adjustment. So that's the report for what we brought in this year or this month. So, guys, any questions on it? Yeah.
Talking about the next.
Okay, well, you talking about the one we just did the bids on?
Whatever.
Okay. What the kind of ministry told us to go ahead and get a bid? We did. We got them and they opened them this last commissioners meeting. Well, we looked at them, we picked the one that we would like to have, which was the cheaper of we only had 2 bids. And it was the cheaper of the 2. I don't know, Jason, is that going to be brought up in the next, I'm assuming next meeting will be brought up?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, it is in the process.
But you're right, Jay, pending, where the money's gonna come from, which is your decision. Because right now, and it doesn't have.
Isn't there an equipment fund?
Yeah.
Has that already been spent?
I don't, well, part of it's been spent, I don't know what the total is on that.
Well, I think as far as the edit side, I mean, there was like $700,000 that was set aside for the broadband. That's a non-event at this point in time.
450 this year. We've already spent some of it, I think. And the highway one's got half, don't they? Was the greater paid for out of that?
Shouldn't have been, shouldn't have been.
The ambulance, that was the remaining balance of the ambulance.
Oh, yeah, that's right, from the last ambulance we bought. The remaining 120, I believe.
What is the
to be paid
remaining?
for that.
The bid we accepted, I think, was $183,000, or not accepted. The
low bid.
The other, there was $183,000. Is that right? Like it's ready to roll? Yeah. Other than just putting the equipment on, I mean, of course, we got the equipment, right? But there was two of them, and the other one was $207,000, I believe it was. But they're not cheap, but in the same sense, just so you guys know, we are in desperate need of one.
And that's for delivery of like August, right, David?
They told me the other day, Mary, that if we get it approved, they're talking about right now October.
October.
Yeah, so that's about the best we can get. But right now, we're just switching back to our ambulance is not broken, basically. So we desperately need you guys' help. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you.
Any other department reports? Tim?
You got copies. Report of collection for the month of March collected $4,395.55. Turned into our pension fund. Year to date, total fees is $12,680.75. Put the requirements. Last thing I had was just a copy of the March average daily count. Daily count here, 8. Work release. There is, we're not using work release right now because of the March. And because we're going to try to go back to that May the 1st.
Well, 90, great.
Yes.
So the work release guy's been helping with in the jail or
Staff
the staff?
and work with the and the jail and the radio room on the control boards and stuff like that.
Excellent.
Once they're done, they're what they have to do there as far as home detention. Yeah, we are keeping busy.
Any other? Diane?
While she's doing that, I did have one new jailer that started, I believe it's on the 5th. I've got 2 more. That fill you up? I mean, that means, no, we're still about 5 short. 5 short, you had approved to hire, yes. Still 5 short. How about deputies? Deputies are pretty full? Yeah, full. One dispatcher.
Still alive. Still alive. We just gave 2 more.
You can see my numbers there. We got our financial numbers. We had our server go completely the last couple of weeks. So we were without a computer for almost a week. It was kind of a nightmare, but it is, we got our new server in and it's starting to run things. We're getting kind of up and going over the last few days. So it's been kind of difficult to do some of the work. It's been down so much. As you know, we were living with that old system for a long time. And it got to the place where it restarted every hour, all day long. So we just got that new system in place last week and we're very grateful for that. So hopefully things will continue to move forward. Our QuickBooks, we will be using QuickBooks instead of the HIMS system for our receipts. But we are all not set up with an account or to utilize that yet. So we're kind of flipping along between the two right now. That's kind of the idea on the financial end of it. We've been very busy getting the vaccines. We're going to OCU this afternoon. Well, actually, some of them are going there right now to get vaccines. We mostly give the Moderna vaccine. That's pretty much what we did all along. We did have a Johnson & Johnson clinic Saturday. We gave about 185 doses. As you know, Johnson & Johnson was recalled, and so we will no longer be given any more Johnson & Johnson vaccines. We will be given either Moderna or Pfizer. So everything moving forward will be those two vaccines. We gave 2,456 COVID vaccines last month. And we're averaging, on Wednesdays, we average between 450 and 500 doses per day. We're staying pretty busy with that. Our numbers for our testing side are going down quite a bit, but as you know, that grant fades out the end of June. I have asked, we went to rolling testing on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays now, because we're vaccinating on Wednesday and Friday in that same building. And obviously we have to clean it, and you can't do both in the same building. So that's what we're doing at this time. So once that fades out, I doubt that we will be doing the testing anymore.
At some point, will it go to, like it would be if I needed a flu test or a strep test, I'd have to talk to the doctor and they order it? Is that,
Yeah.
I mean, is that probably where it's heading?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Because a lot of the express clinics will probably be given the Binax or the rapid test.
Okay.
Or the PCRs, either one. The problem is the rapid tests, why they're quick, they're not as reliable as the PCR tests. So they still, if you're symptomatic and you have a negative rapid test, they still recommend you get a PCR to confirm that. We are still having quite a few COVID cases. As you can, most of you that follow that, we're still in the yellow, even though the mask mandate had been lifted. Just to kind of give you an idea for the year, in January, we had 812 cases. In February, we went way down to 144. That was our best month that we've had. In March, we went up to 197 again, and we're kind of following that. We're averaging about 6.5 new cases per day of Gibson County residents, and we were down to about 5 per day. So, of course, at our peak, we were like at 26 new cases per day. So, it is better than it was. However, it's going up. You know, I don't know if it's due to the spring break, if it's due to people relaxing, wearing a mask. I'm not sure. Especially with us having so many people in the county vaccinated, you would think we should definitely be going down. And it is not the vaccinated people that are coming down positive. It is the younger population.
So it's the ones that have not been vaccinated or got their first shot
Not to.
or chose not.
Yeah, at this point, anybody over 16 can be vaccinated. However, we give the Moderna vaccine, so we only vaccinate those 18 and over. So. Okay, so then, as far as other things, we've been working a lot. Ben has related to the septic system in these new subdivisions and trying to work out some issues with that. We're seeing more and more where these subdivisions, they don't really have appropriate lots for a good septic system. And so we are really trying to stick to our guns and not allow, they have to have their soil samples, they have to have their septic layout before they can begin to build. Because otherwise they've got a house up and we don't really have a suitable septic site. So that's something we continually run into. So we're trying to really be aggressive with that at this time. We are still doing the food inspections and trying to educate the restaurants and the community. You know, we encourage everyone to continue to wear their masks, especially when we're still going up. If we would go back down or stay down, but we are we're just continually going up. So we encourage the public to continue wearing the mask, especially when you're in close quarters or, where there's a lot of people in close area. And then I think I talked to Jason, and we will be continuing doing the screenings at the courthouse, just strictly because the staff that I had there we're not trained to do the immunization clinics or the testing site. Those were hired strictly for that job, and there's still money in that COVID fund. And so we were trying to come up with a way, whenever they continue the mask mandate, how was we gonna have people required to wear a mask, and how were we gonna screen if no one was downstairs? So I told them that until we can, I think that they're working on getting the deputies down there. We can continue with the person down there. And I checked with Wendy, we have funds there that should cover that until, I guess we're taking the guidance of you all and the commissioners as to when you want us to pull down. But as far as them people helping with our vaccine clinics, there's so many technicalities with it, with how you run the system and everything, how to have logins. It's not like we can just pull somebody in. It takes a lot of them training on the system, and they have to forget just one thing. Okay.
Going back to, you said the septic system, that's always been the case as far as before any new construction they're supposed to have permit.
But we frequently do not even know they don't have. I shouldn't say frequently. We occasionally, there'll be a house built, and then we're supposed to go out there and approve the septic. But it puts us in a really bad position when the house is already built and we got to find somewhere to put it when it's really not a suitable lot.
Right.
And we're seeing more and more lots that it's hard to put a decent septic in because of the slope of the lot. And, the soil samples, and they just not.
Sure.
Whenever you're over towards Orangeville and you have so much sand, we do okay, but you get, especially in my area, Hofstad area, we have a lot of clay, and so it doesn't work well for septic system.
So have you reached out to the media to make that known? Because I mean, there is a lot of building activity.
Yes.
And all that.
And all the installers, we're actually just sending them new packets in, so they're very much aware of it, so. And all the builders too.
Yeah. Just public awareness.
Yeah.
And then to clear up one thing, whenever you follow the numbers, like we're in a yellow and all that.
Yeah.
It's just based off of the positive test to our population or the number of tested, or
the state does that.
the state does that?
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
The metrics they use are cases per 100,000
yeah,
and percent positivity, right?
yeah, that's the way I understand it too. It's kind of confusing.
It is.
I think, and that's why I've never did that work on myself. The state takes care of that, but
Yeah.
that's what I did.
And with testing going down, it seems hard for the percent positivity to go.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what it doesn't make sense.
because people aren't getting tested unless
I'm
they're
saying
sick
our
hardly.
testing site is going down. That doesn't mean like the hospitals.
No, I mean, from looking at the county data,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was going by, like the number of people tested,
yeah.
it seems like we're kind of high compared to what the positive case.
I agree with that. But the number that I look at more than that is how many people per day of new cases we have and how many cases in the community, because, we only had, back in February, we had 3 days where we didn't have any cases. And that's the first time we crossed the line.
wow.
Really?
And we
Okay.
haven't had that since February. So, I mean, that tells me that we still have transmission in our community. So that number, I think, is gonna be more accurate for us to look at, is how many new cases are we getting per day in our county, the county.
Thank you. Mhm.
Any other department reports? Old business, Chamber of Commerce. Are you here for? Huh?
She's not.
She's not here. Kay. Where'd Kay go?
Supposed to text her.
Uh-oh. Oh, we have,
I'm guessing Patty is say right now to move forward to parity.
okay. That's what they it did. That was a topic of discussion at the last meeting, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I wanted to handle all that copies for our Senator's invoice. And to also confirm the original funds that
Yes, it's in the jail budget. We appropriated money before the contract was signed. You know how much?
the invoice, I think that contract was 13,000, this invoice is 11,925, and I'm not sure. if it's final. It's not, but I just want to make sure I'm paying for the right thing.
My understanding was that he was, yeah, under the not to exceed number. 11,992 sounds right.
We have an additional appropriation, approved for 13.
Okay.
Yeah, it's finished.
No, what,
Is that in the jail?
1233.
1233.
That's the separate jail construction budget or not?
For design services.
But the Fund 33 is the jail construction fund or
1233 is
Or-
the jail facility with.
great.
Law firm. $7,903.82. And if we pay for that outside the county line, for the education.
I think so. She's dealing more with the jail lawsuit, although the questions have been on. That costs us an awful lot to update her on how we're doing. That, she'd been paid out of legal, outside legal attorneys out of that. Mhm.
Okay.
That's where we paid her in the past, I presume. We paid her out of the regular, they just had a legal services line. Yeah, we split that up to keep separate from the county attorney, yeah.
Thank you.
Gibson Solar. I don't know if you have any updates, Rick, or questions.
Well, I didn't know how we are progressing with it this morning. I know there was some discussion last night. I had some conversations with our leadership at Nebraska over the evening. I think a couple of them might even be online with us. Just kind of pondering. Thank you guys again for your time. You know, we're moving in from our continuation from this. But just kind of how we approach things, or I personally do, wondering how I would even kind of handle what we might have to go through today, and how much of the discussion you want to have, but where we can go to get closure and a positive outcome. But one of the things that come up today for me was whatever you do, work it with your heart, and I'm very passionate. So even though they're online with me, I do have kind of like a teleprompter just to kind of keep me focused, because whenever I was talking with them last night, I kind of got a little passionate. This is my county. I have been here pretty much all my life, 55 years old. Pretty much know how to read people and had a pretty good background on it. But where I kind of get screwed up a little bit is the rest of it, where it says, work for the Lord, not for men. And I usually get selfish sometimes. This morning, I already been in a power plant, working with workers, making sure they're going to be safe, kind of selfishly, so I don't have to go rescue them or treat them, but more importantly, passionately, so that they have a prosperous life. Tonight, I'll be teaching CPR. again, selfishly, passionately, so that we save lives, but selfishly, the more I train people and get people out there, maybe they'll save me. But then again, with this project here, coming to the county, bringing a lot of revenue, millions, close to billions of tax dollars with both of these projects. It's gonna be a big economic shot in the arm for our county. So I don't know what we need to do, Mr. President, on what's been kind of addressed or say questions that might be there and concerns, but again, on the passionate side, I took this job. I knew it would involve a little public speaking, but not this much. And personally, growing close to a lot of these residents, sitting on front porches just a few nights ago, looking out of a beautiful view and getting people to understand the importance of the program. Since our public meeting just a few days, not even 10 days ago, we've lost one of our own neighbors that was going to be a neighbor of this project. So we've lost a landowner during some of this. So it's taking its toll. The longer we go, we know we got to be methodical, and this is why I praise you guys for watching what comes before us. I've sat on TIF boards. I've had things, Jeremy, we've had conversations where we kind of wonder about, was that the right move we did? Did we just kind of get, played a little bit? But with this company, we're all on board, and it is very concerning to us, the delays that we have to face. And we want to work with everybody and make it profitable for all those involved as well, but for the county as much. So it's my understanding that there's questions and concerns from you all as on the finances. I know we were just given the assessed values to put into these equations. But even with those numbers being high, that's only to your benefit because that's more taxes we will have to pay. Not to offset the EDA agreement we entered into, but with that amount, things looking at this project as being larger, 280 megawatt versus I think around 250 for the Elliott project. Not that substantially larger, but when you look at what agreements we've entered into with the commissioners, we're already at over 1.2 million, which is greater than what we come into the table with you all at the Elliott project. So we just feel that this is where we need to be, and already, it raised some issues and concerns when we brought good news saying we've got a supplier or a purchaser already for this. This just shores up our project. We haven't been able to be forthcoming with that on the Elliott yet. We know it's coming, but we don't have that. This was just assuring you that we haven't even got out of the gate. We've already got somebody saying, hey, we want to work with you. We understand it may not be in Gibson County, we can't work all this out, but we like it here, we want to be here. So that's where we come to you all with trying to work. Some of the people that spoke the other night, had it right on the spot. And there were a few of those that I had spent hours with, and they came up with some great options that Canasta went. That's going to be an increase of acres and setbacks. But we did take care of 4 or 5 families that were going to be greatly imposed upon, and to show that we are willing to work. There were some different programs we're wanting to involve and help within the community. We don't even know what we're going to face here with the city of Princeton. So there's a lot of cost in the minimums that are still out there. And so that's why we have made this proposal right off the bat of the 1 million for the 5 years to mirror the Elliott. We started kind of negotiating in Elliott at a much lower rate to come up to the 1 million. That's just how I want to delay everything with you. And if we can't have an agreement today, I don't know what you go about it.
Anyone have any questions for Rick? I know we have some questions into our attorney on the project, Tim Oakes. I don't know if Tim's on the line.
I am on the line. This is Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, have you had a chance to respond to those questions from?
I've got answers. I can. I thought what I would do is we could. if there are any questions that any of the council members had that they want to ask and have answered on the public record this morning, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, I know one of the council members had a list of questions and I can respond to that directly, but thought it might be helpful for me to respond in this format so that all the council members can hear it, to the extent any of the questions are of a nature that the answer should be heard by everyone.
Okay, I just want to make sure, and attorneys can advise, should we handle this during our public hearing after, so that everybody shows up for that?
I think where this is at right now is we are continuing this discussions with Tenaska and their counsel to try to bring the best deal possible back to the council for your consideration. That's where we're at. And when I say best deal, that from my perspective, that is the best deal for the county. And I don't think we're there yet. And consequently, the meeting regarding final approval of the abatement, I would suggest ought to be continued so that we can reach a point where we can present to you the best deal possible. In the interim, again, if there are any questions that I can answer, not necessarily about the specific negotiations or dollar amounts, but more, for example, so I think one of the questions was, what's the difference between regular personal property taxes and distributable property equipment in terms of how it's taxed and what's going on with the solar project. In the answer to that, for example, is distributable property at the state level is you have situations oftentimes with utility type companies where the equipment extends through and over more than one taxing jurisdiction. And in those situations, if you had different rates applying in different assessed values for the same type of equipment being applied in one jurisdiction as opposed to another, it can cause problems. So the state has created a category of property called distributable property, where the amount of the assessment is determined, the assessed value is determined by DLGF instead of the local officials, and in this case, the county assessor. But that's for the equipment only. That does not apply to the underlying real estate. So and here, the equipment would be distributable property. The actual assessed value would be set by DLGF as currently applied. And there is a bill that is pending that is still alive and kicking in the legislature, which is House Bill 1348, which would change the way solar projects are taxed. But currently as written, because it's distributable property, it uses the federal depreciation schedule instead of the state schedule. So there is, and so as the property depreciates, the assessed value goes down correspondingly with that depreciation pursuant to the federal schedule. There is a 30% minimum or floor, 30% of the cost basis, so it can't go down below that. All of that might change though if House Bill 1348 gets adopted. That has passed the House and it's been voted out of Senate, and it's been amended yesterday, And that may in fact get approved, which would change things. So we're paying attention to that as well. But questions like that, I'm happy to answer the generic questions that dealing with what we're looking at.
I had a question yesterday posed to me about the 30% floor. What kind of depreciation schedule is that working off of? Is that a 7-year? How?
Jared, I see.
30%.
Yep. I don't think it's a 7-year depreciation schedule, but I know Jared's on the line. He might be able to give me the specific. I don't have the rules in front of me as I speak, and certainly I can get that to you. But Jared, who's on the line, I think he can tell us. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, and good morning, council. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the personal property follows a 5-year maker's depreciation schedule.
Okay.
So Jared, you said it is on a 5-year?
That's correct, Craig.
And so I can't tell, we don't have anybody on from Baker Tilly, do we?
No.
I'm assuming that their projection for the post abatement tax rates factors that depreciation in.
Well, I will make sure that it does, so that the model you're looking at when the time comes for you to make a determination as to whether or not to approve an abatement, and if so, how much, so that in fact is 100% accurate. So we'll make sure that in fact Baker Tilly has used that floor properly and the 5-year depreciation schedule, so that we all have accurate information.
How long do you think that'll take?
I'm sorry?
Well, like an estimated timeframe on when we could have that?
That shouldn't take Baker Tilly very long. I'm assuming sometime by the end of the week.
No, I had 2 phone calls yesterday, and that was one of the questions in reference to the fact was what's the useful life as far as how it matches up on, the assessed valuation. Like as a farmer, I mean, your equipment's usually on a 7-year plan or something along those lines. And, for there to be a full 100% abatement for the first 5 years, does that take each year you lop off those high years of personal property assessment? And then all of a sudden, do you just start out at 30%? So has that all been taken into account in the calculation that say that, like on a farmer's return, and I don't know how it would apply to state utilities or utility properties, like, year 1, it's 40%, year 2, it's 56, 42, 32, 24, and it keeps declining. It's my understanding with this project that once you hit 30%, it won't go any lower than that. But those first couple of years, if you're a farmer or a business owner, you pay a larger percentage up front. And if this abatement is those first 5 years, do we lose all that? And is that 7 million something greater than that? Has it not been taken into account? And I'll be the first to admit, I didn't ask these questions on the first one, but it was just one of those things that it was an investment that is greatly needed in the county. And this is an investment that would be a benefit to the county. It's just that we need to do our due diligence to make sure the 7 of us understand what this impacts our county as far as, property taxes and incomes and all that, and to be fair.
We will make sure that Baker Tilly is as accurate as possible, the numbers for the project going forward. And it is, as you've heard from Jared, a 5-year depreciation, but the useful life I think is at least, Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, 25 years, maybe more. So you're looking at this correctly, and that's it's not a shock as to why they're requesting a 5-year abatement. I think you've nailed it, but you need to be able to see the actual numbers and have confidence that the numbers that Baker and Tilly are showing you are accurate, and we'll make sure.
Right. And that's what it kind of appears that, and the one individual that called me there yesterday, that's what they were hammering pretty hard on, the fact that, if this applies like it would to a farm or a business, that those initial 5 years are the big numbers as far as Forest County goes. And, these are questions that should have been asked for the first one, but we're asking them at this point in time now. So.
Sure, we will get that to you.
And Jared, is that typical of how you handle these? I mean, do you depreciate all of your solar panel properties on a 5-year schedule?
Yeah, Jeremy, generally, given the federal tax code allows for, solar equipment to depreciate on a 5-year maker schedule, that's typically the schedule that's followed on solar projects. Now, that's the majority of the personal property. There is a small percentage that doesn't qualify, based on the equipment, but it's a little bit kind of in the noise. So, a general rule of thumb is the 5-year makers on the solar facilities. And then the other question that came up was the useful life. We're anticipating a 35-year useful life for this project.
And Tim, also when Baker Tilly updates, I know that Kim got back with us on, was it 6,900 or 7,900?
Which the House bill could take, but
Okay.
they're supposed to be working on the formula now to calculate that.
Then there was also the question that's been brought up as far as if I'm a landowner and my property's assessed at 1,290 times the productivity factor, that's what I pay property taxes on. The year that the panels go into place and now all of a sudden this property is assessed at $7,900 an acre, I'm still responsible for the 1,290 or whatever that value is for that year times the productivity factor, and I get a property tax statement for that. Where's the difference going to be? Because I've had 3 people ask me that question.
You're not gonna get 2 set tax statements. I mean, it's gonna be assessed as the panels. I mean, it's that 7,900 acres.
The whole parcel?
So there will not be a split between, I've been paying 1,290, and then the year that the panels are in place, or the year following that the panels are in place, my tax bill is going to be an oh my gosh moment.
Jared, how does I'm assuming that all of your property owners. Yeah, Jared, I'm assuming that all of your property owners have signed the same lease, at least most of the provisions, obviously. How does your form lease handle increases in the assessed value of the underlying real estate? Is that a pass through to the owner, or is that the owner of the solar project, or is that get paid by the owner of the property?
Yeah, Tim, our lease agreement provides for any incremental amount to be passed through to the project or to the owner. So it would be so if it's currently the tax rate, or I'm sorry, the ag assessment, and it were to increase after the solar project's operating, the difference between those two is what the project would pay.
Who's gonna make that calculation? Adjourn changes every year. I'm not making that calculation.
So the question would be is each year the value of ag land can go up or down based on the formula that's established by the state as far as land sales and grain prices. A lot of things go into that calculation. So that's not a set number that's not going to change from the foreseeable future. How does that translate to the property owner as far as how do I bill the solar company for the difference between what I'm supposed to pay and what's being charged on my return? And the assessor, if I understand, looking at her is there's only going to be one tax bill. And
I have to add a staff member to do that.
and who's going to pay for this calculation each year?
That's a property. First problem. That's not a problem. I mean, the assessment is enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that would have to be arranged between the company and the landowner to determine each year as to how much, I guess, the company's going to refund, because you're not going to, I don't think that the assessor or the treasurer is going to send out two separate tax bills.
I think Mike can back me up on that.
I agree with you.
So, I mean, these are questions that should have been asked the first time, because they're all valid points that, this is going to be an even bigger number than what we thought, because, 2 months ago, we was thinking $4,500, and last night I get an email, or this morning I opened it up and it's 79. So it's even bigger spread. So, I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. That's going to have to change hands. Because like I said, I mean, that's what I read in the lease that's been offered to our family is that, we are responsible, but it's just good to put it out so that everybody hears it, that we're responsible for what the ag rate is. And then anything that's increased above that amount.
Which your ag round is 2%, the commercial round is 3%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be taxed free.
Well,
No.
up to 3, but Princeton, Patoka, that part of it is
All right.
2.4, 2.6 maybe, isn't it? Is it over 3?
I believe so.
So there's just several things that are moving along as far as this House Bill 1348. That's kind of changing the dynamics of what we're faced with, and then just the questions that we continue to get, or I've got questions from other folks as far as the implications on the tax side.
Jared, did you want to address any of that last part now, or is that something we need to help put together, show examples of our other projects?
Yeah, I think specific to the question on how property taxes are handled, that is a key provision in our lease agreements. And so generally, I think to the point that that's something that would be handled between the landowner and the project. I think that's right. We wouldn't necessarily have to have two different, have the assessor split out the tax payments. That's something that we would work with the landowners to address based on our individual land agreements. And, generally the kind of context of that is, there's going to be a historical, record of what the property taxes have been on the property before the solar project. That'll kind of set a baseline. And then if there's a assessment after the project is operating, that we would pay the delta. But again, that's something that we would work through with each individual landowner based on the land agreements we have in place.
Jared, this is Craig. I'm just kind of thinking through, the situation that may involve with our family, in the fact that we have acreage that would have panels, and we would have acreage that would remain in ag, or, and all that. It seems like I guess it would be helpful to have examples where you have existing projects as to how that breakdown is explained, so that we know that we've got 50 acres that has panels, and we've got 17 acres that doesn't have panels. That's going to be treated as ag land, but the 50 is going to be at this 79, but we're going to get one tax bill for the whole parcel.
And who's providing me with that?
And who's providing the assessor? Who's going to help to do all that background work that she's got to do or he's got to do.
You know, that you have 58 families.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I didn't think of the first time around that, but there's just some questions that's kind of, as this goes on and you learn more about it, that, so that everybody has the answer, or at least a pretty good answer as to how it's going to work.
Tax rate for Polk Township is 2.56 cents.
So Rick, I think if we could get
Yeah, no, those are. Yeah, I was gonna say, Craig, I think, yeah, we look forward to spending some more time with Kim here over the next month. And yeah, perhaps we can put together some different examples to, illustrate and make sure everyone's aligned on how this gets applied.
Jared, do we want to try to stay on the schedule? Do we have this done by the 20th to have a meeting with you select, or is this something we want to try to put together the presentation, kind of like Solar 101 you had labeled for the whole council?
Yeah, Rick, my view would be, I think it would be good for us to have a follow-up next week with kind of the committee that was formed among the council. We can obviously have a lot to cover, an update on the House bill, having an updated kind of more detailed breakout from Baker Tilly on the figures, including the depreciation schedule, 30% floor, et cetera. And then obviously talk about, the overall, abatement schedule and economic development payments. So my suggestion would be that we get a meeting scheduled next week with a subcommittee on the council and the professional teams on both sides to kind of work through these questions and remaining items. But open to other thoughts on next steps from the council if you think there's a different approach here.
I just want to make sure the assessor's office has all their questions answered before we say anything.
Sure. That's why I say it's a complex situation, but so we don't want to rush in. The communication is what we really are key on needing between you all and us, and we have questions and emails and things that need to be done. It's not that we're pressing, but the clock is ticking and we got to get going in operation. Clauses that we had to have kick in place with our landowners and things that we're going to be paying out up front. That's not even seen by the reports and everything. It's coming out to get to that point where we can generate a revenue. But yet at the same time, protect our county, make sure we're doing the right thing. So I know they had initially selected the 20th. This is when we were going to make our senior vice president. I think a couple of them might have been for Steve Johnson to be available to come in, but more importantly, to have these people that can answer your facts and figures questions. Or maybe there's a date that works better.
What time?
Afternoon, because Jeremy, I know, I'm phrasing how you want to do this, just a couple, not calling it a committee or a council or anything, but we have worked greatly with the president, the vice president, and one select member, to kind of get your balance in finance and leadership and not have a quorum and take us down that road. But even the assessor's office, and thank you again too for hurrying, because I know you were very covered up to come up with that number in a hurry. There's a lot that was left and maybe some things that got lost in emails, and technology is good for us, but it's not so we can provide us wherever you go. Wherever you want to.
You mentioned the 20th of April.
That's just, I know when he's gonna be in town, if you wanted to meet with him, but again, the most important thing is to get the data that you need.
I mean,
because Baker Tilly, I think he said you could have their report in a matter of days or in a week, but.
I think that the assessor's office definitely needs to be at this meeting, because I mean, it's going to be some big changes as far as determining what acre is what and what value gets assigned
Correct.
and,
Believe in the future, right?
right, I mean, it's just, there's just,
Maybe the bill will make it easier to put a cap that it wants to, but I think sometimes those come out of.
Right.
There's some extra hurdles in there.
I mean, you say that the vice president would be available on the 20th of April. What's yours look like?
Wide open.
For you or not, because I know we're still in that busy time.
Yeah, I mean, unless my office is just slammed with the tax thing coming just on out.
Where do you need to have the meeting, you don't hear, you know, that's whatever convenient for you all. You can hear the courthouse, there'll be probably 2 or 3 of us physically, but then Jared and whatever remote in, they can.
Well, like when we've talked about that and discussed it there at the business center,
Sure.
you know, if that would be,
It has helped us created with landowners and different folks that.
you know,
Together.
as far as having where they can video in and
Yes, sir.
if that would be available.
Space and everything we need that the large boardroom will
Right.
accommodate, even with social distancing still over
Right.
15 or so.
I mean, if that would be available on the 20th.
I can make it so,
So,
pretty sure. Paul likes me.
Is he coming in on the 20th or the 19th?
What's that?
Is he gonna be coming in on the morning of the 20th?
It might be the evening of the night. I'm not 100% sure. Flight schedules and things. I think even that morning. One of the other projects.
You just wanna do after like 1 o'clock or late afternoon?
later.
Later?
Yeah, for me,
Being on the tractor.
yeah. I mean,
6?
if we could do a 6,
There comes the squad car.
if we could do a 6 PM, I don't know, that may not be the most convenient for you, but I mean,
Say,
with what all I got going on this time of year, I mean, it kind of helps me out if it's not a problem.
That works for me. And if anybody, I mean, I'm happy to go, but if any of you guys want to go in my place, I have.
So far, too, we can still have one. I'm good, you guys.
You're good?
I'm good, I'll leave.
Well, I mean, it's,
Yeah, no.
um,
2 minutes, Alex.
yeah, there really should be another member because I'll be up front that I will have to abstain like I did on the last one because,
I can go.
okay. So it's
Canvas in the room is available on the 20th, 6 o'clock.
good.
I agree. Our public hearing is gonna be for not.
I'll have to convene it, and if anybody's here for public comment, and then we'll continue it.
for today.
Yeah.
And I said one of our contractors here with us to help, and I know there were a few others that already reached out, but this was prior to knowing I had these sensitive questions that really needed to be looked at one last time.
Yeah, everything we got was helpful, and I think having making sure that those assumptions are accurate in the Baker Tilly is going to be helpful for the few questions that I had, against it. So from taxpayers. So.
Right on the depreciation in that first part.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rick. So you said you can do that.
6 PM on the 20th.
Did somebody else say they were in or player to be named later? Jay?
Jay.
Okay.
Tim, are you still on?
I am, yes.
So I had supplied Jeremy some questions and all that. So if you could maybe go ahead and answer those. And then
Yep, I will.
We'll report those back to everybody after you have an opportunity to do so then.
Okay, I will do that. And then for purposes of the open door law, I just wanted to be really clear. This technically is a hearing, the second hearing on the abatement request. And unless you want new notice sent out, which you can do, you will need to formally announce the time, date, and location of the hearing, of the council hearing to which this hearing will be continued to.
What is the May meeting? What is the date on the May meeting?
Your meeting would be the 11th.
Tim, we're going to meet in committee on the 20th. And then the public hearing will be resumed at a different date and time. Are you available on the 20th at 6 p.m. Central Time to participate?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
20th won't be a public hearing.
The 20th will not be a public hearing.
No, and I think we'll do the same thing and reconvene it after the meeting in
Right.
May.
That'll work.
So I'll make that
So-
announcement after.
Yeah, so when is the meeting in May and what time and location?
May 11th. Is that, do we need
That's
to
right.
find out from Kay if that date's open? No, May 11th, county council meeting at 9. After the county council meeting. And then
it'll
I'll
be
make that,
in the same room you're in right now, correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
This is called the commissioner's room in the North Annex.
Meeting room. Yeah.
Commissioner's meeting room in the North Annex of the courthouse.
Okay.
May 11th. I think they'll be ready for us to tell them yes or no. Yep.
Is there,
Personal services transfer, we've done that.
We did it.
All right. Additional appropriation adoption and old business.
You already have it.
Yep, I'm ready for you to sign.
I will make a motion to sign the additional appropriation.
Do we need to vote on it or we already did?
They're going here.
Minutes, you got the minutes?
The minutes here. You can have the minutes and get those stuff. Man.
So we need to
Yeah.
vote
And we need to vote on it. Correct?
You need to vote on it, yeah,
and sign.
and sign off on yay or nay.
I will make a motion and we accept the additional appropriation, $7,800 for personal services, $12,680.
Second, Stillwell.
Just
Any
for
questions?
clarification or question, the 7,800 was for personal services for,
Surveyor.
78 was for the surveyor.
Part-time.
That was the part-time. The 21,680 coming out of Riverboat for capital expense for
The
communication tower. And then the 35,000 coming out of the fund 1202 for the surveyor, and that's the perpetuation corner fund. Okay, my questions are answered.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0. Amendment 2 to the salary schedule.
I added the 7,000 on the overtime or extra hire for the surveyor
At $10 an hour.
at $10 an hour. The assistant court reporter that you are allowing the judge to hire because of a retiree, I put it on a separate line,
Thank you.
so it's a 2020 only. And then the part-time from the prosecutor's office that you approved at the last meeting.
For $12,327 at $10 an hour.
Yes.
And it is 2021 salary schedule amendment 2 for anyone looking to make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Jay Riley, second from Craig. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0. Okay. General appropriation request from the general fund in the amount of $151,414.
That's all been taken care of. It was broken up in 2 segments.
That's done. God, I was like, where's this coming?
And then Fund 2509.
That's the half of the salary that we're putting half on the general. And the other half of that salary was being paid from 2505. And that's excluded, so we want to get an additional in 2509 to finish the year. Yes, yes.
I'll make a motion. 30,000.
Any questions? Conversation? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. Any other new business? At this time, we will adjourn the regular session and reconvene the public hearing on the Gibson Solar Project. Does anybody need a recess or, I don't know that is there anybody here to, Bruce, do you have any? I almost called on you, almost made you tell you sure. Is there? So.
Nobody's here to be heard on the public hearing regarding the solar project. Hearing none. We're going to reconvene this meeting to May the, what?
We'll reconvene the meeting to May 11th following the council meeting, no earlier than 9:30.
Wish.
That's awfully optimistic.
Excuse me, I do need to read Bill. Bill McConnell did send a letter. I need to read that very quickly. In an effort to help maintain the current level of tax levy, to help continue the present level of services in county government, and as an advantage to all taxpayers present and future, please consider the following. The best thing that can happen is to get all legal matters out of the way, start construction immediately and finished in a reasonable time frame, getting both on the tax roll at or near the same time while being sure that property rights are respected. This would get the full amount of $420 million on the personal property into the tax base as quickly as possible and allow a depreciation schedule to be in place in a timely manner. This will be advantageous for present personal property taxpayers along with present and future investors. In other words, finish the construction, assess the values, establish a depreciation schedule, and hopefully place both on personal property tax rolls at or near the same time in preparation for tax collection. From Bill McConnell. So we will reconvene to continue this hearing after the council meeting, May 11th. I don't think I can't slam my gavel. I think that would close.
You did it the first.
Huh?
You missed your opportunity. We're done.